You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in and listening to The Real Short Box. My name is Donald.
And my name is Kevin.
And we are here today to tantalize your taste buds for comic books. We're going to be talking about all the hype train, all the fun. We're talking about Key Collector. Am I correct, Kevin?
Yes, sir, we are.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about all the fun stuff that comes with it, like overpriced books and crazy vendors wanting way too much and collectors going nuts and people screaming at each other in the streets, cats and dogs getting along together, children crying without their parents. It's mass pandemonium, Kevin. And it all started with this app. Or when do you think it did?
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to what you say.
So tell me a little bit about Key Collector app, the Key Collector app.
Well, I discovered it about 2 years ago, and it was something I wanted to have in conjunction with my CLZ Comics app on my phone, to keep track of what's going on with the trends with comics, what's hot, what's not, what's trending. And I have to say, they are very known famously for every week hyping up some new book, which in some cases I find to be truthful and to be, authentic. And in some cases, I think there's some kind of market manipulation going on. So it's a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
I do like it. I do.
I had somebody just today where they were talking about, like a guy on Instagram was talking about books and how they've gone crazy and a lot of speculation and stuff. And he seems to think it's driven by the films. And I said, well, a lot of it is this mass, like, craziness, like, of investors that are like, this is going to be worth so much more money if I get it now. And it's the same thing that happened in the 90s. And a lot of people that didn't live through the 90s is now doing this, and it's creating that experience again. And I had the guy tell me that I was flat out wrong, that it's not even close to be able to be compared to that. And I didn't know what I was talking about. And then I told him to just shut up, basically.
Well, you know what? There's a middle answer to what both of you are arguing about. We don't have to worry about there being millions of printed copies of books now.
It's true.
So that part's true. The other part on where you're at, which is true, is still, even with 50,000 to 150,000 copies being printed, still, at some point when the market crashes on a particular book, it's going to crash and then it's going to hurt. Perfect example would be Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. I've noticed a significant drop in what the going rate is for Miss Marvel 1, as well as what's that Amazing Spider-Man issue where you see Spider-Man kind of like flying with her?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
I'm sorry, Avenging Spider-Man. It's like the Avenging Spider-Man issue. That's what it was. So they're no longer like triple-digit books like they used to be like a couple years ago. They've actually have come down.
Mm-hmm.
So, so people who got hyped up into that, they kind of ripped themselves off. Even though the funny thing is Captain Marvel movie was successful, but as we know, there was a subtle backlash against the actress.
Yeah.
So, so you have things like that. And then in the opposite, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then you have to look at, like, for example, like Mephisto, the character of Mephisto, first appeared in Silver Surfer #3. There was an announcement where they said that Mephisto was probably going to be in a Marvel movie at some point, and everybody went nuts, and they started investing in Mephisto books, Silver Surfer #3s, and that went through the roof. It was like, at best $100 book to $200 book, I guess, and then you started seeing it going for like $600-700.
Oh, and yes,
like, this is crazy. And then it didn't happen, and the heat died down. And the book dropped back down to $100 to $200 book, in decent shape. And now that WandaVision's going strong, everybody is speculating, possibly on his appearance at some point in the next, Marvel movie, the next Marvel series. They don't know, so everybody's starting to just clamor for Mephisto again, and now that book's going through the roof again. So it's like a rise and fall.
And if I may piggyback on that, and this is going to be very important, now someone like you, no matter what happens, you'll be fine, is the character Moon Knight just going through the stratosphere. Now, we know that there is a Moon Knight series coming. However, God forbid, it just doesn't do well, or it's just people aren't feeling it, then you're going to start seeing that book crash. I mean, we're seeing outrageous prices going right now for Moon Knight. I think now it's cracked $1,000 for a high print. I mean, a high print for a high grade issue. So you have to hope that is sustainable and that the series is written well and that people take to it. And of course, what's important is the mainstream audience has to take to it, not so much the comic book fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's very important.
Extremely important.
Now you're smart. You got your issue for like $50, like many years ago.
Yeah, I think it was $40. I paid for it like back in 07, 08, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You're like the earliest of early birds.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw a character that I thought was cool and that I liked, and I was like, I would like to get that character's first appearance. So I did, not thinking anything about it. And now, it's a crazy book. It's a crazy expensive book to own. I think I have it at a mid-grade at like a 5.5 or a 6 or something like that, a 5 or 5.5, somewhere around there.
Still good. Good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely in good shape.
I mean, it's similar when I got my, Fantastic Four #5 with Doctor Doom. I got it for like $180 back in 2009. And that, I mean, of course, at that point, as you know, the previous 2 Fantastic Four films had come out and weren't received as well. So I'm sure those books were dropping at that point. But, I didn't care. I'm a big Doctor Doom fan. So now there's a great benefit. Now that book is worth a heck of a lot more, even in its current shape.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of books like that now that are like popping up and skyrocketing. Let's talk for a moment about Miles Morales.
Oh, yes.
Now, Ultimate Fallout #4 came out, about 2009?
10 years ago. 10 years ago. 2011. 10 years ago.
That book came out, and it was an Ultimate book. And the Ultimate line of Marvel Comics was so popular at one point that they considered disbanding the regular line of Marvel Comics and just recreating the origins of these characters and going with these new origins, that they were that popular. Mm-hmm. And then something happened, and the line basically just kind of imploded and died out. And the only character that they felt was really worth saving was Miles Morales. So eventually they brought him over into the regular Marvel universe. But that's not before, of course, his first appearance, which was in Marvel, the Ultimate Fallout #4.
Now, like of course, there's some caveat to that, as we know, even though I find this a little ridiculous, and the Key Collector app does help hype this up, and that's Marvel Previews number 95 and 94 before that.
There's number 94 and 95. You're saying what? That's
those are considered now the first appearances of Miles Morales. And of course, something I was talking to you and Jared earlier today, I found out earlier today, I thought was so ridiculous. The Comic Shop News, one of those, those newspapers they always give out when you buy your comics at your local shop. Now that the issue with him on it, it's number 1259. That's going for $50 now, apparently, according to the Key Collector, because it arrived in shops on the same day as Ultimate Fallout 4 was going on sale. And I'm saying to myself, are you serious? Are you crazy? And I think anyone who pays $50 for that is you're out of your mind and you're a fool. Why would you want that? Why does it matter? It's bad enough with the previews, but okay, I'll let that slide. But now we're getting into newspapers that you get at the shop. Come on.
Yeah. And I told you that the Comic Shop News was like something that I would read when I was, taking a dump. So it's like not something that, I don't know, it's like a newspaper that people would take into the bathroom with them a lot. And why?
Exactly.
Why would you want that? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's something that's appealing to me. And it wasn't something that I'd read it and collect some here and there that had cool covers or whatever, but it wasn't something that I had to save because you just didn't have room for everything. So it was like, let it go.
Exactly.
And those
'Cause now-
previews are exactly that. Those are the previews. Those are not the true first appearance of the character. It's a preview of the book before it comes out, whether it's a 2 or 3 or 4 page preview. It's not the actual true first appearance. And that's
Right.
always been the case. This is where manipulation comes into play with investors and people. Let's say you own a comic shop, for example. And I'm not saying this is the exact case, but let's say you own a comic shop and you go, man, I have 1,300 of these stupid Miles Morales Marvel previews, but I don't want to throw them away, but I don't know what to do with them. And then you're like, he's big right now. He just like blew up, and I've got this. Let me check and see if this came out before. Of course this came out before. It's the preview. Well, that makes sense. So this is his true first appearance then, maybe. Maybe I could spin it to where I could do that. So then he calls up his other buddy that, maybe doesn't own a shop but runs a convention circuit and goes, hey, Marco, or whatever his name is. And he's like, hey, do you have any of those Marvel preview books? And he's like, yeah, man, I've got I've got quite a few. And he's like, what if we start saying that this is his true first appearance and we start like asking a bunch of money for it? Do you think that's something that we could do? And he was like, hell yeah, I'm in. And the next thing you know, it goes to the next dealer and the next shop owner and everybody that has these previews. And then the regular person, the Joe Schmo that's out there that maybe picked one up when he was getting his comics and held on to it. Now he has a $1,000 to $2,000 book in his hands that was just a free preview that they gave you at the time at the shop. So it becomes manipulated in a way then that collectors feel that has to be the right one, that's the true one because it came out first. So they need that book now and they don't want the other book. And it becomes something of an issue because the people that invested and took the time and wanted the first appearance and went out and bought that book just because they didn't get the preview, now they feel like they don't have the true first appearance. And that's not the way it should be.
Exactly. And it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. And it also, in my opinion, is disrespectful to the hobby and it creates confusion, especially people who are new at this and getting into the hobby. They think, oh, I got chased down every preview book imaginable. Lose your mind.
Right. But there's another caveat to this, and it goes the other way. Okay. For example, we were talking about this before, I believe. Amazing Heroes number 45. Amazing Heroes is a preview magazine. Right. They do interviews and stuff like that with comic book creators and things, but then they preview some of their work. In Amazing Heroes 45, we get the first preview of all 4 Ninja Turtles in print.
Right.
Now, that book is not going for a lot. It's a few $100s, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you want to get the first appearance of the Ninja Turtles in first print, which,
take a mortgage.
Right. May or may not be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1, right? That book is a $60,000 to $80,000 book.
Well, that's go beyond that.
That's not Globity book.
Yeah.
That's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1. It came out in what, 87?
84.
84. Came out in 84. And this Amazing Heroes 45 came out in April of 84.
Mm-hmm.
So this one came out in April of 84 to advertise and show the first appearance of all 4 of them. Why isn't this book going through the roof? Why isn't this book a $70,000 to $100,000 book? It's because they don't have a bunch of these lying around everywhere. That's why. Because they can't make a bunch of money off of this. Mm-hmm. So it then becomes a thing where, why would I want to tout this and push this if I don't have a bunch of these? Why do I want to make that, any more valuable than the other one? So for me, this became an important book then, because I can't afford, there's no way in hell I can afford Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1. First print, second print, it's not happening.
Oh,
Maybe the
that's where
third.
that's where I lucked out years ago.
Yeah, years ago, because you know, you like the Ninja Turtles like I did. You were just a little more, had a little more foresight, and you were like, I want to get this now. Where I did
Hmm.
not. I waited because I was like, oh, it's going to be that price forever, and
Well,
that's
for what
not.
it's worth, though, Raphael one, you did well on as well as I. We're smart enough to get our hands on those. That's another hot book right
Oh
now.
yeah, Raphael #1. That is the first appearance of Casey Jones, so that's a big book. Um, so I got this Amazing Heroes #45, and I thought, I don't need it to be valuable. I just need it to know that if we're calling the first time something shows up in a preview a first appearance, that's fine by me then. I'll say this is the first appearance, and I'll own this book because I can't own the other book. It's just too expensive. So that's what I did. I went out and I bought this book. And now I own, to, in my opinion, then, the first appearance of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles together.
Well, you know what? I can outdo you a little bit on this one. Remember, I was telling you a few days ago about Spawn. Now, Malibu's Sun, that was kind of like considered, the first appearance because like Malibu Sun 13.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're going further back, and I think I actually have this in my dad's attic back on the East Coast, and that's the Diamonds preview book with Spawn on the cover.
They're
And
trying
now
to get
that's
diamond
yeah,
previews. Okay.
yeah. So I saw it listed for like $700. As a matter of fact, I think that might be in a Key Collector app too. And I was laughing to myself. I said, you know what? I think I have this in a box work. I used to collect some of those Diamonds preview books back in the day. I thought they were kind of cool. They're like these thick, almost like size of a phone book type of magazine type things. So I'm like, these are pretty cool. They had cool stuff in there. So I think I have that. Like, next time I go back, I'll have to take a look. But that's what I'm talking about. It's getting so ridiculous now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's getting extremely ridiculous. I don't know when this is going to stop or where. Like now they're saying that like sometimes they're calling, like certain trading cards rookie cards and things like that, and they're going
Oh
crazy
yeah,
with that. And that's going
yeah,
to be a whole nother pod that Jared
yeah.
and myself are going to dive into here in our little subsection of what creases our pages. We're going to be talking about that
Yeah.
in an upcoming podcast.
I'll join you for that one too, because I have a whole lot to say about that too. I think I'll share with you guys some of the prices that people are paying for some of those cards. It's like I don't know what kind of crack and meth people are smoking.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you know what? I'm not going to be a hypocrite. If you want to buy mine, please. I'll be more than happy to sell it to you after I get them graded.
Yeah. Yeah, right after you get it graded, just sell it to them.
Absolutely.
Take your money and go laughing all the way to the bank, I guess.
Yeah, quite literally. I certainly will.
I mean, it's great that stuff that we purchased and invested in the 90s because we were told to purchase and invest it in, and then they didn't turn out to be worth anything or now worth something for this brief moment in time. This is great. And while other people might have more time to wait, we're not getting any younger. So it's for us, it feels like almost an urgency to say, do we really want these or do we want to let them go? Because right now I'm looking through my cards, for example, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, wow, these are great. Like these look so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, why didn't I ever put these up on the wall or something, or like create a frame for them or something like that?
Yeah, they are cool.
Kind
especially,
of
especially,
yeah.
especially, you and I and Jared and and many people out there in the listening audience have had these cards for 30 years, if not more, if not longer.
Yeah, been sitting on those for a long time, just like people are on their preview books and their diamond books and things like that. How many people do you think has held on to an old diamond preview book like from 20, 30 years ago?
Very few people like myself have. And also, I would say, and this also gets back to something which you said earlier, people do have stuff in storage. And someone brought this up. I was listening to about their old comic book dealers. Their comic book shops closed down back during the 90s crash, but they held on to a lot of these things like those preview books, like the trading cards, in their storage unit. And they, some of them kind of had foresight thinking, well, maybe one day down the line, it might be worth something. And then when it happens, they'll cash out. And now's the time.
Yeah. Yep, now's the time. Strike while the iron is hot, so to speak, I guess is what you could say.
Yeah, because this pandemic, I think, has caused an inflation in a lot of, in very pretty much the entire collectibles market. People are at home. Some people who do have disposable income are looking things to do with that disposable income, or people who got a bunch of stimulus checks are looking things to invest in. And, there you go. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing.
We've got so much stimuli coming in that we don't know what to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Save it because they're going to charge you at the end of the year. They're going to take it out of your taxes. Yeah. So
exactly.
That's the crazy part. They're just basically loaning you money for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. Then you look at books like, for example, Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel.
Oh, yes.
That book, for some unseen reason, has a huge amount of heat, but in a more organic, rightful way, because people are speculating he'll appear in a movie. And also, it had such a small print run.
Exactly. Including the trade paperback.
Right, including the trade paperback. So all these issues of Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel and the trade paperback had a short, small print run. And now they're speculating a film. Of course, that's going to make that book go through the roof. I think I got one here probably about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a copy of it, and I think I paid $40 for issue number 1.
I got lucky with my trade paperback. I was doing a job, and I got it for free as a reward.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. Matter of fact, real quick, I'm looking on eBay right now. A 9.8 CGC 9.8 just sold for $1,515 off 39 bids.
Wow. So $1,500.
Yes, sir.
That's a pretty good investment for a $40 book, not more than 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, is yours graded as a 9.8?
Yeah. But
nice. Very nice.
But I'm just saying that if you had the foresight to invest in something like that, even if it was a 9.6 or a 9.4, it's still going to be a $700 to $1,000 book, and you would have paid what, $20 to $40. So it's kind of insane the way the prices are going and how they're spiking and stuff. I don't think we're going to see this again once this all dies down. And what I was telling a buddy of mine is all it's going to take is a few clunkers for films.
Yeah, or TV shows.
The Marvel train is what's keeping everything going, what's keeping everything together. Because let's face it, DC, Warner Brothers, they're not pulling their weight. They're not doing it. Mm-hmm. Marvel's what's doing it. So the moment you get Feige says, you know what, I'm out. I'm going to go retire and live on an island and don't bother me. That's it. Marvel's done. They're going to have one clunker and everybody's going to go, oh, it was a fluke. Then they're going to have another clunker, and they're like, uh-oh. And then the third clunker, and then people are like, I'm out. I'm not doing, this is terrible.
Yeah, and the media hype, when the media starts getting on it, yeah, it's over.
And then people are going to start dumping their books. They're going to be like, oh my God, I need to sell before the price of these books crash. A moment that happens, these books crash. And then they're worth still some, but not nearly what they were. Now, granted, the
blue chips will be fine. The blue chips will be fine.
Right. Those books, the pedigree books, so to speak, those will be okay. They're not going to be worth nearly what they were, but they're still going to maintain some value.
Yeah, they're basically like blue chip stocks. That's what I call those blue chip comics. You don't have to worry about. But yeah, what you would be concerned about is something like Adam, Legend of Blue Marvel, or the Agatha Harkness books, things like that. They're hyping up right now, or something I talked to you about earlier about Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes.
Right.
Those type of books you worry about crashing. Miles Morales, on the other hand, I think that's going to be a new blue chip book. So I think that's good. I think you're good there.
The things that we've talked about before, and one of them was investing in villains. You have to be very, very careful. Unless it's a mainstay villain. Yeah, yes. Unless it's a mainstay villain, that villain is a flash in the pan. It's a one and done.
That's right. Ultron. I mean, flash in the pan. You might see it in him again, but probably not.
Yeah, Ultron was an example. Ghost. Geez, that's a really good example. Ghost was a book that was going for $100 to $200.
Really? It got that high.
And was announced as the villain.
I should have cashed out.
Right. Now I see it sold for $5-10 again.
Wow.
Yeah, it just completely crashed. That's because you don't invest in villains unless they have staying power. Now, you were very smart and you bought a Fantastic Four #5, which is the first appearance of one Mr. Doctor Doom. Mr. Doctor Doom. There we go. And that is a book that I feel will stick around. That is a book that's just as important as Fantastic Four #1.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not for Doctor Doom, we would not have the Fantastic Four be what they were if without their arch rival, without him. So he is just as much of the Fantastic Four as any of those four characters are of Fantastic Four. So you need him. Doctor Doom has to stay in the picture. He has to be relevant. So they're going to make him relevant in the MCU when they eventually bring him in.
As a matter of fact, I would argue he needs to be like the Phase 5 main villain on the level of Thanos, but like an earthly villain, because he's worthy and he can bring it and he'll have that kind of aura to be that type of bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. He's got gravitas, so to speak. A lot of people are talking right now about wanting Magneto back in they want him in the MCU, and everybody wants that right now because of the WandaVision series, because we have Quicksilver and we have the Scarlet Witch, and we have these two, and they are in the comic books, or at least they were, Eric Lenzer's children.
Children.
Magneto's children. And they want to see that because not too long ago they retconned it and they tried to make it to where they're not his kids and they're not mutants. And that's because Fox had the rights to the term mutant to the fact that they were his children. Mm-hmm. So Marvel couldn't do anything with that. So they were like, well, the hell with it then. And that was one of their bargaining chips, was like, well, we're just going to get rid of this then. And you can't hold anything over us. And we're just going to keep moving on with these characters.
Well, the good news is with WandaVision and the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you can actually now rectify the situation and create mutants or have mutants integrated into the MCU. And I'm sure they thought about this long before we did or I did. So I'm sure we'll see how this is going to work out. I mean, I told you all my theories, I think, on our last live stream, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm sure they'll find a cool way to make it happen, to have Magneto be their father as well as their mother Magda be brought into the fold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of characters that are going to be folded in. They said that there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more characters that are going to be coming in from WandaVision. And those characters are going to spiral out into other series. And this is just the beginning. We have Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have the Loki series coming. And then we're going to be having, eventually, we're going to get a She-Hulk series. We're getting a Moon Knight series. We're getting a MODOK series that's coming. We're getting a Secret Invasion series. We're getting all kinds of things that are coming. That's an exciting time for investors and comic book fans. But I do weigh caution as someone that is both. Don't put your life savings into a book and expect to get gains. There's at some point the profitability is not going to be what you think. It's going to hit a wall. I don't know what that sound is. Are you blowing your nose, Kevin?
No.
Okay. Well, make sure that sound goes away. The fact that everybody is wanting to throw caution to the wind and buy these expensive books, and you see it all the time on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So-and-so came by and bought this book, good for them, and it's a great key book and stuff. That's great, but buy what you love. Kevin, you bought what you loved.
That's right, I did.
You wanted Doctor Doom, you bought Doctor Doom. You wanted first Ninja Turtles, you bought the Ninja Turtles because you loved those characters. Just turns out that those characters are extremely popular and worth a lot of money now. So you got lucky in that way. And the same with me, with Moon Knight, for example, and Taskmaster. Now, Taskmaster's not worth a huge amount, but a lot more than what I paid for it.
Yeah, me too.
And Moon Knight's worth an exorbitant amount from what I paid for it. So these
also
are
Silver
good,
Surfer.
Right. These are good investment issues. These are good things because we did what we loved and we enjoyed it. So that's going to be what I'm going to leave you all with. Buy what you love when it comes to comic investing. Buy key books, but buy key books that you love with characters that you love. Don't do it just so you can say that you own it and it's worth this much and you're going to try to flip it or sell it or something, because it could bite you in the ass.
Yeah, but it's very dangerous to follow the crowd. You know, the mob mentality where everyone's going after. It's just like what's going on with GameStop stock and whatnot. If you're coming in now, it's too late. You know, eventually you're going to be part of the crash when the price drops, and you're going to get burnt. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. You know, listen to Donald, what he says about get things that you love. Now, if you're wealthy like that, then of course, you know, do your thing. But for the average person out there with, you know, limited income, be very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, don't put all your savings into something like that. You have to be clever about it. You have to be smart. You can look at now, like some of the books and characters that are coming out now, and think about what you're going to be investing in and what character could become a hit key character. And you're only paying $3, $4, or $5 a book, you know, for the most part. And buy some of those if you want, and then just sit on those for a bit. I mean, the Miles, we only had to sit on that for what, 9 years, 10 years?
Exactly.
It just went through the roof.
Exactly.
That's a great turnaround. That's a great investment book. It was very smart of anybody that bought multiple copies to do so, because they had the foresight to see that this book was going to be something that could be huge and have that potential. And eventually it did. So that was a smart move. So just be smart about your investments and what you're looking at, and don't always follow what Key Collector's telling you. It's a great app. They have a lot of great suggestions, and it is a very good resource. But just don't fall too far into that hype that they like to build on there, and people like to extrapolate that and build from that, and then throw it up on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and talk about this is going to be the next big thing or whatever. Just be careful, that's all. And enjoy your collecting, enjoy your collection.
Yeah, it's all about fun, you know. Don't be doing it, don't make this into some crazy, you know, laborious task, you know. Have fun. That's it. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else you want to say real quick, Kevin, before we wrap this up?
Just one last issue I discovered. I never heard of this book called Spider-Man India #1, and that's being listed for like $50 in high grade. I was kind of cracking up over that. But that's like another book that's being hyped. We'll see if that goes anywhere.
Huh. Probably from another Spider-Verse movie, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see.
Yep. Well, all right. Well, thank you, Kevin, for joining us, and everybody out there in podcast land for joining us. We are The Real Short Box. Again, my name is Donald.
And my name is Kevin.
And you can find us on, we do YouTube live videos pretty much every Monday. You can also find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spreaker, and a multitude of others. If you can't find us on one, reach out to us on our Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Let us know, and we'll get on there for you so you can start listening to us right away. But with that, thank you for tuning in. And if we don't see you out and about anytime soon, we will see you.
And please subscribe, and we'll see you at the Sweet Precious Comic Book Shop.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.